Let's talk about what's happening in Alberta. And I want to talk to Tamara about this because I think our school system here is, despite being currently being on strike because the unions are a bunch of bullies, I think our government has actually played the school strike pretty well. Um, our teachers are striking for more money, but also they said, no, no, it's really about class sizes. So the province said, okay, here's 12% more in wages, plus 3,000 more teachers, 3,000. And they said, actually, we reject that. Can you just give us all the money instead of giving us 3,000 more teachers? So I'm like, oh, I guess it's not about class size. And then the premier said, okay, fine, you're going to go on strike. Let's hunker down for the long haul. Guess what we're doing? We're taking the savings because we're not paying them teachers while they're on strike, and we're giving, I think it's $120, $150 per child under 12 so that parents can get childcare, put their kids in Montessori school, mathnasium, whatever, so they're not falling behind. So now they've taken the poison pill of the, oh my God, what are we going to do with our kids while the teachers are on strike? So now they've lost the parents, they've taken that pressure out of it. And the union, the ATA, ain't got no money. So they can't pay the teachers for a long strike. So we're going to bust the union here in Alberta. I can't be more pleased about it. So what is the union doing? Well, they have just fired up a citizen-led initiative. The teachers union is pushing to end Alberta's successful school choice system, even as they strike over failing public schools. So the unions are demanding more funding for a system and to force everybody into that system while campaigning to eliminate the alternatives that actually work. So they're backing a campaign to dismantle the province's education funding model that allows parents to choose the best schooling for their children regardless of income. And this is what's really special about Alberta is if you don't like the public school system, and that includes the Catholic school system, which in this province is actually Catholic as opposed to what you're doing in Ontario, which isn't Catholic at all. But if you don't like that, if that's not working for your kid, you can get together with a group of parents and actually start an accredited school. And it can be a religious school. It can be an outdoor academy. It can be a hockey school, a military school, the classical academies that are in Edmonton and Calgary. There's no real hindrance to you putting your kid in a private school in Alberta because the funding follows the child. And why shouldn't it? The parents are paying the taxes for education. You should be able to educate your child in the school of your choosing. And so for the teachers, they hate this, even though they prattle on about, oh, like we got to help the poor kids. And we're like, yeah, we are. We're helping them get into better schools if they want, or whatever school they want. Well, the teachers unions now are advancing a citizen-led initiative to end our successful charter school program, where if you are a poor kid and you want to go to a classical academy in Alberta, it doesn't matter what your parents make, you can go. And I should tell you some of the numbers here. The people who use charter and private schools, it's not the rich elite in Alberta. It's people whose incomes are less than the median. So people who are not the average income, but under that, see putting their kids in specialized schooling as a way to sort of travel up the socioeconomic ladder. And these teachers unions, these lefty teachers unions are advancing a citizen-led initiative. They need to get 177,000 signatures on it to end that school choice program here in Alberta. It's just an absolute abomination, just shoehorning kids who are doing well. And by the way, these charter schools, they do well. They do better than the public schools. So of course you got to get rid of them because they're making them public schools, and public school teachers look bad. And a lot of the teachers in the charter schools are not on strike because they're not unionized. So the kids who opted for charter schools and public schools and charter schools, private schools, and the academies, they're all at school right now. They're not on strike. Their teachers are happy. So we have to get rid of those because they are the benchmark for failure. And so we need to have nothing to compare it to in Alberta. I guess that's the plan. Tamara, what do you think about this as someone who has expressed envy about the Alberta school system?
Well, and not just the Alberta school system, but just that model that the funding should follow the child. I mean, that to me makes the most sense. This
Yeah,
centralized control of the system is really start as we've seen, it treats parents more as obstacles rather than partners in delivering education. And so the unions, of course, they don't want to have any sort of choice. They don't want parents to be involved. They just want, as we see repeatedly, that government control, that top down instruction without any wavering from the prevailing narrative. And I think that parents, not unions and not the government, should be choosing what is best for their children repeatedly in all these different areas, including even what we've spoken about today regarding the treatment of these ostriches. You have seen the one size fits all model fundamentally fail. And
yeah,
so, what these unions are doing, it's not prioritizing children or their education. It's just trying to instill top down, centralized conformity. And we can see that that is not helping children flourish and grow and become individuals. It is just hammering them out to be the same mundane, repeated little boxes, putting them all into little boxes. And I have severe reservations that this will be successful in
same.
Alberta. And I just like repeatedly want to see this same model echoed in other provinces. I have gone to my MPP multiple times. I've asked him to bring it forward to whoever the education minister is at any moment of the day or the month to simply just ask and answer, why don't we have education choice in Ontario? We have to pay
Yeah.
this anyway. I think it's upwards of $14,000 a year per student now in Ontario. I'm not sure what it is in Alberta. But if parents had that and could funnel that into a school of their choosing, just we're all about diversity, and so let's
Yep.
diversify the choice for families whose children don't necessarily fit into these little boxes and have their own needs and can thrive in a different environment. We see repeatedly how much of an inept failure the public school system is, and then they're trying to bring in special students with special or extra needs and shoehorn them into this classroom
Hmm.
where it's not only them that suffers trying to fit in with a classroom of children, but it's the 30 other children who are
Yeah.
repeatedly disrupted throughout the day because of one or two students who don't have the tools that they need to be successful in the classroom being shoehorned in, and it's not benefiting anyone. So I think Alberta's
Right.
model is one that we can all kind of lean more into and say, hey, look at what is working here, and let's ignore this union until they go away, because I really don't see how that can be successful. I mean, how many times do parents have to pivot and find
Right.
education for their children when the government declares, or the unions declare, oh, we need to strike, we need more payment. Oh, look at how they acted during COVID. I mean, here in Ontario, we had the longest school shutdown of anywhere in the
Yeah.
world.
Yeah.
And parents had to pivot and say, well, we need to keep educating our children. And there are kids who never came back into the school system after COVID that we have literally no idea where they went, what happened to them, how they're being educated, and whether or not they're thriving. So I would say that giving parents an option for choice that is more reliable than what they're currently getting from the public system and from these union strangleholds is only a recipe for success. And except if you're the union head who is set to lose a lot of income as a result.
Yeah, it's funny. The unions, they wail and gnash their teeth here in Alberta. They say, "Oh, you spend less than the rest of the country on your kids." And so my response to that is, and look how high our outcomes are.
Yeah.
We're doing better than everybody else. I think it's a pretty efficient system, and it's clear the unions are failing, the public system is failing. And so instead of looking at the charter and private system and saying, what are they doing over there that's working out so well? They have to get rid of the thing that they can be compared to, because those private schools are making the public system look real bad. And Tamara, if this were Alberta and you lived here, you could get together with 10 other families and start your own accredited school. If you found a way to deliver the programming that the province requires you to deliver in your own creative way, as long as you deliver the curriculum, you can do it in whatever creative way you want to. You could do that here because the funding would follow the child into your private school or charter school, whatever you wanted to do. And that's the way it used to be, right? The education was done in the community, by the community, and a lot of times by the church. But that's how human history was. It's a very recent development that we have government-run schools telling us everything our kids need to know.
Yeah, absolutely. It's another sell for Tamara moving to Alberta.
And
Okay.
real estate.